Welcome everyone to this session. I see it is just after 7, so it's as good as time as any for us to begin. But a very, very warm welcome to all of you for joining. I know there were some issues today throughout the day with Blackboard Learn and things like that. So I do hope that everyone has managed to connect, and I do hope that everyone can hear me well and that we can start with the session. So what we're going to discuss today is we are going to look at task 2 for the final POE, so part 2, task 2, project 2, which is now following after task 1. So on that note, guys, thank you very, very much for all the hard work that went into task 1. I know myself and the other OTs, and I see Peter van Rooyen on the call with us, so thank you so much. And I know I speak on behalf of everybody for the OTs. There was a lot of hard effort, hard work that went into task 1s at this stage. Yeah, we did see some really good creative ideas coming through. So just from our side, thank you for that, ladies and gents, and keep up the good work. So take what you have learned in task 1, take some of the feedback that you have received in task 1, and use that momentum going forward into task 2. So we're going to use the same idea, we're going to use the same challenge or product that you would have figured out in task 1, and we are going to use that then going forward in task 2 and task 3. Okay, so just a little bit of background on that. So task 2, guys, is a completely individual task as well. You submit it separately, so you don't have to resubmit task 1. You don't have to submit task 1 again. You just submit task 2 as a standalone assignment, if you will. Task 2 counts for 30 marks. So you'll remember task 1 was out of 20 marks. You'll see here task 2 then counts for 30 marks. So a little bit of a more weighting that you would have. And it is due next week, Friday. So it is due on the 5th of May, which is next week, Friday. So you've got just over a week to compile it. And it consists of these 4 very important questions that we will then go through as well. As always, ladies and gents, if there are any questions, please feel free to type them up. Raise your hand. I will explain one question and then I will answer the questions that come through and then move on to question 2 and let the questions come and then. So I'm going to explain everything first per question and then we'll get to some questions and answers. But if there's anything you're unsure of, please do type it up or raise your hand in the session, okay? So again, just to reiterate, guys, that task 2 is also going to be referenced. So you'll see we'll get to it at the end again. But I do always get asked, remember, it is definitely going to be referenced. You have to reference it as well. And you will submit it via SafeAssign as you are used to for all your other assignments as well. So just a little bit of context, this excerpt that you can see on the screen here comes straight from your document or your POE document that you would have. Remember that all your tasks are in one POE document. So I know I've had some questions, where do I find task 2? Remember, it's all in the same document that you would have. So 4 questions in that document, and this is the background that you would have, okay? So you've identified a problem, you've proposed an idea that can solve that challenge or that problem, and you've developed a product or a service that can identify that problem and solve it as well. So now the next step is to analyze that product. So we're going to be asking ourselves, is that product, does it have the necessary characteristics to be successful or not? And then we will ask what type of business you're going to start up, and then you're going to analyze the environment in which you found this business. So we're going to look at in a deeper meaning of what is the environment, the external environment that we're going to do. So 4 questions, all based on this idea that you have already identified in task 1. So let's have a look at the first question. The first 2 questions you'll see are on the very first slide. They go hand in hand, guys. They are pretty straightforward as well. So again, just to remind you that it's a continuation of the task as well. Just to remind you of that as well. So let's have a look then at question 1. Okay. question 1 then and question 2. So question 1 is asking us that we need to have a look at the product that we are going to be selling or that we are going to be developing, and we need to analyze whether we think it meets the characteristics of a good product or a service. Okay, so we need to look at the characteristics of a successful product. Okay, so we need to have a good idea of what are the characteristics of a successful product, and then we need to analyze our product against those characteristics. Okay, so a good starting point, and this information is straight from the textbook. And if you just give me 1 second, I just want to open up my textbook. So just give me a second. I just want to go and grab it from my office. Wait a sec. Apologies for that little break. I just realized I don't have my textbook in front of me and I'm sitting in a different room just to be closer to the signal, because our signal has been up and down, so I didn't want it to be any delay. Okay, so let's get back to question 1. So question 1 is telling us, guys, that we have a product that we have already developed from task 1. Now we need to analyze this product. Now we need to analyze what it is. We need to say whether we think that this product will be successful or not. Okay, so in our textbook on page 83, 84, and 85, they give us a list of characteristics that are going to define a successful product. So, for example, one of the characteristics would be that the product fulfills a need. There is a market for the product, another characteristic. Okay, so you're going to take those characteristics, you're going to explain the characteristics, and you are going to say whether your product meets those characteristics or not. Okay, so you would say that a successful product would have would be developed in order to fulfill a need. My product is developed to fulfill a need. The need is to prevent load shedding or to improve the health system or to give back to education, whatever the need is going to go about that as well. So you're going to look at the characteristics and you're going to analyze your product that is going to then be going forward with the product that you've got. So you're going to take each one of those characteristics and you're going to analyze your product against those characteristics. So by the end of the question, you will be able to determine whether your product or service is going to be successful. Does it have what it takes? Does it have the necessary characteristics to be successful or not? Okay, now we always get asked the question that, sure, Kim, or what happens if my product doesn't meet these requirements? Then you say that. Okay, so this is an honest reflection on whether your product should meet these characteristics of being successful. Okay, so a lot of the ideas that we have read, a lot of them should meet the ideas just from seeing the ideas that have come through, the products and stuff. But if for some reason it doesn't, you are allowed to say that as well. So you, again, just to reiterate how the question is structured for the 5 marks, you're going to take the characteristics and you're going to justify. Justify means explain, prove why your product is going to be successful. So you would say something along the line that, we've spoken about that there's a need. You could say, in order for a product to be successful, it needs to be able to generate an income. My product would be able to generate an income because if I sell it, people would want to buy it. It's something that they need. It's something that they would use. Therefore, I should receive a profit for it. So it meets that characteristic of being successful. Okay. It meets the characteristic that it is simple, that the buyer can understand it. Okay, is it readily available? So you're going to sort of be ticking all these characteristics and justify why your product then would serve those characteristics and be able to tick box, like I say, all those characteristics as well. So question 1, 5 marks, pretty straightforward, looking at the characteristics and then linking the characteristics of a successful product to your idea. And like you say, Ellen, I see Peter did answer you as well. But yes, guys, just to reiterate once again that you are using the same product that you would have identified in part 1. So part 1 is now finished, but the idea that you have used in part 1 is continued, is pulled through up until part 2 as well. Are there any other questions on question 1? So guys, there's nothing complicated. Like I say, a good starting point is to use page 83 and 85. But again, if there are other resources that you want to use, so you found other resources, you are welcome to read beyond the textbook, okay? As long as you reference those sources. So remember, you're going to have in-text referencing and you're going to have a bibliography. But again, this is a starting point that you can see on the screen here, highlighted in blue. But you are obviously welcome, and you are able to use other resources and characteristics that you would find. So as long as you are able to justify those characteristics in accordance to your product or your service that you are offering for those full 5 marks that you would have. Okay. Do we reference our answer where we link the characteristics to our product? So obviously the product that you are that you have developed does not have to be referenced, but anything that you have based on text, so any characteristic that you found in the text would be referenced. But obviously if you are speaking about your product and its link, then that is not referenced. So your product is your product. If however your product is based on an article that you read, or your product is not your original idea, and there are a few students like that, then that would need to be referenced, because then that's not your idea as well. But if the product that you have is your own idea, and that, then you would not need to reference the actual product. You are going to reference the theory, the textbook, the article where you found the characteristics on. Okay, good. And then question 2, I always tell my students, this is like the Bonseller question, the bonus question, the question that is for free 2 marks. A very, very simple question that you would have here. Okay, guys, so we're looking at the type of business ownership. So if you look underlined here in blue, guys, we are looking at the type of business ownership. So for 2 marks, you are going to identify what type of business would you start? So if this idea, if your product, your service had to be real, had to come into fruition, what type of business, what type of ownership would you set up? Okay. And again, there are many different types of ownerships. And again, it's what is most suitable for your idea. So every student here would have a different answer. It's what is most suitable for your idea. Okay, so for 2 marks, what do you have to do? Briefly explain the type of business ownership that your business will enter into. So for 2 marks, briefly explain what type of business you would enter into. Okay? So here they're not asking to justify why you say that. They're not asking for anything fancy. They are asking you to explain the type of business ownership. Okay, so I'll get into more detail about that now. Let's just quickly have your question, Nao, if your hand is still up.
So I wanted to find out, so if you've chosen the education one and you choose to partner up perhaps maybe with the Department of Education, would you say it's a business partnership, or would you still obviously refer to yourself as a sole proprietor?
It would depend on what exactly you're doing. You'd have to just look at your thing again, because it could also be a non-profit organization that's getting funding from the government, if
Oh,
that's the
from
angle that
government.
you are you going. We don't really form partnerships with the government. Okay, so we form partnerships with people, or other
Okay.
organizations, but we don't really have a partnership with the government, if you understand what I'm saying. So in that
Okay.
situation now, my suggestion would be either setting up a sole trader, so just yourself,
Sole
or
trader.
setting up a non-profit organization. So that would be my advice to you. Peter, I'm not sure if you would advise the same thing, Peter, if you would also give that advice. I know that there's a lot of students who need funding and things like that. So what would your advice be to those students, Peter?
Sorry, I fully agree with you, Kim. I would go for one of those options, depending
Okay,
obviously
okay, no,
what the situation is with NAO. Uh,
Yeah,
yes, but I would go for one of those two.
you're right. I think
yeah, thanks for that.
yeah, I'm thinking sole trader is the correct one because we never form really any partnerships with the government. And instead, we'll probably like render services on their behalf, and they probably invest in that. So it's fine. I just wanted to get the clarity on that.
Okay, no, that's a good question. And often we do have this idea, and you'll see as we're moving on, you'll see as I'm explaining question two again, that sometimes you know exactly what you are starting. So sometimes you know, okay, this is definitely a sole proprietor because it just the business leans towards it. Or this is a business where I need a huge capital outlay. I need a lot of money invested in it. So it makes sense for me to sort of set up a public company, for example. So sometimes the answer of what we're going to set up is pretty obvious. It sort of jumps out to us and stuff. Other times we have to think a little bit more in detail about what type of ownership we're going to set up. So um, I always tell the students there's almost no right or wrong answer here, but there's definitely a more right answer for it. And it depends on your product that you are going to be setting up. Okay. So there's many different options. So the beauty of this question is you can see, even if we look in our textbook from page 139 all the way up until 146. So that's almost 10 pages of options for us. So we've got all the way from the beginning where we speak about like we were speaking with Neo, from the sole trader all the way up until an organization that would then, set up companies for profit, companies not for profit, different type of companies that we would be setting up. And you would choose one and explain it. Yes, Peter, please do give us your wisdom.
You make me smile, Kim. Uh, figure 6.3. I think it's 6.3. We have load shedding, so I've got a small lamp here. On page 140 could be of assistance because it gives you about six perspectives in terms of which uh, type of ownership you should go for.
Yes, 100%. So if you do look, you are right. It is figure 6.3 there on page 140. They give you some ideas. So the textbook will then tell you, how do you choose this ownership? So like Peter says, and thank you for that, it says, how would you choose your ownership? So if you are struggling with, what type of ownership you're going to be looking at, refer back to figure 6.3 and just refer back and then apply it to it. I'm just going to type it up here just so that the students can also just see figure 6.3. Oh, just wait, page 140, just so then we can all see what we are talking about. So that's a very good example. Thank you for that again. So it tells us, what type of ownership we're going to use. Okay. So it's important to remember, ladies and gents, that it is only 2 marks. So question 2 is only worth 2 marks. So you don't have to give us a lengthy explanation as why you said you're going to set up a sole trader, or why you're going to set up a company, or why you're going to set up a partnership. We just want a brief explanation of the type of business ownership that your business is going to enter. So just a brief explanation of what type of business you would want to then set up for your business going forward. So remember, this business is hypothetical at the moment, but by the end of it, you're going to draw a business plan as if you were really, really setting up this business. Okay. Um, I'm just trying to read your question as well at Ellen. The textbook just shows the topic as the type of ownership. So in the textbook, yeah, they give you the definition of the types of ownerships. They get a lot of information for each one of them. Like I say, you need to pick one type of ownership and you need to explain that, briefly explain that type of ownership. Okay. So let's just quickly see, just give me a thumbs up, guys, if everybody is happy with question 1 and question 2 before I move on then to question 3. Okay, good. Thanks, guys. If there are questions, speak now. Okay, so you're going to then look at question 1, question 2, and that's good. So very straightforward that we would have. And then we look at question 3, okay? So then we're going to look at question 3, which is again worth 5 marks, okay? And again, guys, I always say this is one of the easiest questions again that you would have. So question 3, we're going to focus on looking at the research and trying to look at 5 resources that you would need then for the business, okay? So you're going to look at 5 resources that you would need to start your business, okay? So for 5 marks, you are going to describe 5 resources, okay? Now again, ladies and gents, there are many different resources that you can choose, okay? And you are going to choose the ones that are most applicable to your business, okay? So probably one of the most common ones, or one of the ones that we know are the most applicable to us all, would be finances. Okay, so most of our business we can agree would need finances. So I'm going to use that as an example for this question. Okay, so you would then say for question 3 here, you would describe what financial resources are. Okay, so you're going to choose 5 resources, explain what they are, and say why you would need these finances. Okay, so it sounds like a lot of writing for only 5 marks, but again, you can see in the question they're asking us to describe the 5 resources and to justify. Okay, so in your description, guys, keep it short, keep it sweet, keep your description to a minimal, maybe 1 sentence, and then justify your answer. So again, in your textbook on page 134, they give you a long list of resources: operating resources, human resources, technology, finances. But if you just had to go onto Google Scholar or EBSCOhost and look at 5 resources that a business needs, there are so many available out there. So any of those would then be acceptable for these resources. You are going to choose 5 of the resources that you would need to start your business and then justify. So let's just go back to the example that we would have there. We would have, for example, financial resources. Briefly describe what are financial resources. So give a brief explanation about what financial. Why would you need this capital outlay to start your business? Okay. And again, you're going to then do that 5 times. So you're going to do it for finances, say human resources, technological resources, whatever the case may be. So 5 marks on page 134 would be your starting point for those 5 marks. So pretty straightforward. Like I say, maybe a little bit more writing for those 5 marks, but do have both the description and the justification as well. Okay. Everybody happy with question 3 for the 5 marks before we get into the big question for 18 marks? Thank you, guys. Thank you for some of the thumbs up. Good. Thank you, guys. Okay, so if we move on then to the final question, I always tell my students that thank you for all the thumbs up. I just see thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. So thank you for that. So if we move on to the 4th and final question, just give me 1 second, ladies and gents. Yes, Tom. Who's that? Lego set? I'll explain to you later. So if we final question. It's 18 marks. This is the main part of the assignment. Okay, so this question counts for more than half of the marks. 18 marks. It's quite a big question that we would have to do there as well. Okay, so if we have a look at it, we are going to do an external environmental analysis. So we are looking at an external analysis on the macro factors. Okay, and your job is to highlight or to find 5 macro factors and analyze them in accordance to your business. Okay, so remember, at this stage our businesses are still in the development phase, so we might have to think to ourselves, what factors could impact on them. Okay, it might not necessarily have an impact right now, but we have to kind of change our minds and think about the future. What factors could influence our business? Okay, and we're going to choose 5 macro factors and we are going to analyze them in accordance to that as well. Okay, so remember, when we speak about our external analysis, we speak about the external environment, we speak about the macro factors. Okay, our usual acronym that we always come to for this is what we know as PESTEL or PESTEAM. So I'll just again highlight that on the screen here. So we refer to it as PESTEL or PESTEAM, and you are going to choose 5 of the factors and apply them to your business. Okay, so you're going to take any 5 and apply them to your business now as well. Okay, so if we, for example, at technology, explain what is technology. So explain what is the factors of technology and explain how technology could have an impact on your business, or what technological factors should your business be aware of when it comes to these technological factors. Okay, so again, you can see the starting point there would be on the pages that from your textbook. Again, a long chapter, lots of information available, but PESTEL is one of the most topics in business management. So again, you're going to learn about it in your 3rd year, you learn about it in your 1st year. It's never going to stop. So it's one of those topics that are readily available, and you can really use any resource to help you with this question. Again, as long as you reference them as well. So conduct an external environment analysis focusing on those macro factors. You are going to choose 5 of them. So you're going to choose any 5 macro factors that you would, and then you're going to explain what the factor is. So give us a definition of physical or economic or social or technological or environmental or legal or international factors. Okay, I'm just telling you some options here. Explain the factor. So give us a definition of the factor and then relate it to your business, then relate it to your product, your service, the environment in which you are going to find your business that you would be able to do as well. Okay, so I know, I see there you did ask it again. I know we have been speaking about the mark allocation. I, at this stage, don't have the exact mark allocation for this question. I will confirm that soon. Let me just go and double check here because we don't have, just give me 1 second. I just want to double check. We will go and confirm that. Just wait. I just want to check if I didn't get a response. Just wait 1 second. I'm just quickly going to open up here and just check. I haven't checked my latest mails now. Wait. Peter, I'm not sure if you know offhand what is this mark allocation. If you remember correctly, last year we had 6 factors, so it was divided up into 3 marks, but this year it's changed, so I don't.
Kim, I don't have any idea. Also, I said to my my full-time students, I said 3 marks per factor, and then an additional 3 marks one could perhaps award, for any additional worthwhile information. But I think about 3 marks per factor would be.
So I will clarify. Yeah, so remember there were always 6 and then it was 3 marks per the 6. So if we do the 5 factors now, then we are short of those 3 marks. So I think it's just going to be awarded for structure and anything additional. But guys, as soon as I have the confirmation, as soon as I do, I will make that information available. I will share it with Peter. I will share it with Thea. I will share it with all the groups just so that we can get a specific mark allocation for you. But I can be almost certain that each environment would count 3 marks. So you would have 5 times 3, which would give 15. But then there are those 3 marks deficit. So it might be that it is allocated in, excuse me, in if you've used extra resources. It might extra work that you have done. But I will confirm with everybody on the mark application for that. Like I say, I don't have the exact breakdown at this point for this question because it did change from that also. But as soon as I have the information, guys, you can trust me, I will share it on, and I'm hoping that I will have at least a bit of a more of a breakdown for you guys tomorrow as well. So I'll share it with Peter, I'll share it with Theo, and then we can all be on the same page so you know exactly what to. Okay. So I know that is a little bit unclear at the moment, and I do apologize for that. But like I say, as soon as I have a better understanding of what it is, then I will be able to share that with you. Okay. Um, so that would be good. And if I don't hear anything from the higher powers, then Peter, myself, and Theo will just have a quick little meeting and we'll just decide between the three of us how we're going to market, and then we will let you all know for so together as the three OTs on the module, and we'll just make a call from there. So by the end of tomorrow, you will have an answer for that. Okay, so you'll see on the next slide, I've just broken up some other factors that you could use, but obviously, like I said, there's a lot of extra resources that you would be able to use. Sorry, I see it's lagging now. It's not displaying. Let me just see why it's not. See that it just says different factors. So I've just explained a few more little factors on here. I think I have spoken mainly about them as well, but let's just quickly just see if it will load. I'm not sure. I see my bar's also gone down a bit. So I think it's with the stage 6 load shedding. Sometimes it affects the towers. So let's just see if I can move on from it. Oh, just seems to be hanging. So there was nothing very important on these slides, guys. I'm just scared it slides are available. Oh, can you see it? Okay, so I can't see it now on my side. Sorry, guys. Okay, so oh, there we go. So now it's just popped up. So here are some of the other factors that you can use. Remember, these are just to identify threats and opportunities. So just as while we do a environmental study, so just a little bit of background. As a business, you are going to analyze the environment because you want to identify opportunities, you want to identify threats, you want to identify your strengths and your weaknesses. Okay, so you can absolutely use any factor that's part of the pestle external environment SWOT. Okay, so even it can be any factor that forms part of an external analysis as long as it's applicable to your business. So again, for those 3 marks, you need to define the factor and apply it to your product and apply it to the business that you want to create. So it's twofold, this answer, and it's important that you do both of them, the definition as well as the application then to the business that you would have. Okay. So that's question 4, guys. That brings us to the end of the part 2. So for 30 marks, we've got our 5-mark question, which is 2-mark question that identifies the type of business. Our third question, which is for 5 marks, identifying the resources that we would need. And then the final question is doing that comprehensive external environment for 18 marks as well. Okay. So most of your feedback that you would have found for part 1 would be part of the rubric. So your part 1 would have been marked according to that rubric. Your OT might have said good idea or work on this. So I know some of my students, I had to say just think about how you will get funding or think about how you would market the product. Okay, so that would be in the feedback box, but make sure that you have downloaded your rubric. So make sure when you get your part 1, make sure that you must click on show descriptors. So don't just look at the mark allocated for the rubric. If you click on that round button, it says show descriptions or show descriptors, show feedback. Click on that. So click on both of them, show the description and show the feedback. You'll see it can pop up the rubric. Why you scored for a particular question. And if you still have a problem, then just email the OTs, email us, let us know what it is that you can't see or something. But most of the time, like I say, a lot of that information will be in the rubric and then in the feedback form. So if you show descriptions, show feedback, if you click on those on your assignment, you will get both of those feedback forms as well. Okay. I hope that answers your question, dear Volt and Jody. But we do want you to be creative. So like I say, we've had a we've had a lot of discussions on the ideas you've put your ideas forward. Like we've said, you would have received feedback on these ideas, and now it's really up to you to be creative and to really be innovative in your idea going forward. But this is the idea that you're going to use going forward, and yeah, so just be slide as well. It just says, please, ladies and gents, remember to reference. Okay, I know that it's quite hard because we think, oh, but this is my own idea, this is my idea, so why must I reference it? Remember, I always tell my students, your idea comes from somewhere, it is based on something. So this assignment still has got theory, we've still got the resources, we've still got what is the external environment. You didn't think of the external environment, it is based on theory. So please remember in as well as the reference list for that as well. Okay. So I'm not sure if it's showing you because I see my slides are just hanging still, but that really is all I have to say. Savershan, I'm sure that's not a problem. Which group are you in? I would suggest just emailing your OT and just asking them how they feel about that. I don't want to answer on all of their behalfs, but send okay, see what it is. Maybe there is something that you can discuss with your specific OT. But just on that note, remember, ladies and gents, that you can email the OTs. We are here. We do respond to our emails. We try and respond as quickly as possible. I know that our team of OTs, in particular for these groups, we work really well together. So, it doesn't matter which group you're in. We really are very consistent. And yeah, you can email us with any of your. Okay. So that really is all from my side. I hope that this was valuable to everybody, and I do wish you luck in completing. There we go. It's finally popped up on my screen. I do hope that it found some value. But please, guys, if there is anything that you are still uncertain about, go back, listen to the recording. I will make this recording available, obviously, to everybody. The slide, the presentation is available to all the students as well. And please, if you have any other queries, please do email us as well. Remember, though, don't email us on the day that something is to the questions because we are also busy. We've also got lots of marking to do and things like that. So we don't always get to the emails straight away, but we do try our best. Okay, so that really is all from my side. Thank you so much again, everybody, for joining, and a special thank you to Peter Fourie. Thank you so much for always supporting the sessions and for everything that you are doing for your students as well. Take care, everybody. Please shout if you need anything else. As soon as the record converted, I will make for everybody, and then I wish you a wonderful evening. Go and spend some time with your families and then do a little bit of work as well.
Bye, Kim.